Welcome to the Clean Slate with your hosts, Daniel Garza and Carson Phillips, providing you with movie news, reviews, and more. Sit back, relax, and don't forget to go to the concessions to get your popcorn and drinks. For your entertainment, this is the Clean Slate Podcast.
Welcome back to the Clean Slate Podcast. I'm your host, Carson Phillips, here with, what's your name again?
Also Carson
Dan's
Phillips.
Vlogs. Oh.
Dan's Vlogs.
And we got another movie that we missed in the year 2024, and this is A24's A Different Man.
Yep. Final movie of the month, you guys. But here is the logline for
Nice
A Different
hat.
Man. Thank you. Nice hat yourself.
Thank you.
An aspiring actor undergoes a radical medical procedure to drastically transform his appearance, but his new dream face quickly turns into a nightmare.
Ooh, what's your dream face? Is it Sebastian Stan's as well?
No, my dream face is Ryan Reynolds.
Ooh.
Even though they're in some, tricky waters right now.
I don't want to talk about it. It's not my business. That should have all remained private.
Yeah, for real. Anyway, okay. Just do a little bit of info on this movie, and then we'll go right into our likes and dislikes.
Yeah, so this film is, again, like we said, it's A24. It's directed by Aaron Schimberg. I have no idea how to say his last name. And it has Sebastian Stan. Adam Pearson is in this as well. I can't remember what the lady's name is.
Rensve?
Yes, yeah. I think she's in been in some Swedish films or something like that. But
Okay.
Anyway, so the basic plot of this is we follow Sebastian Stan, who has this, I guess, would you call it a face deformity or some kind of what's the word like a neurofibromatosis is what I'm reading
there you
right
go.
now. I don't know how you say
Okay.
that, but that's what he has. So he has this issue where, he has these tumors on his face, and he isn't a big fan of this, and he's also just not very confident in himself as a person. And so he kind of just wants to be an actor, but it's hard for him. So the only acting jobs he's getting are like on the job training acting things of how not to treat your coworkers with similar conditions. And eventually this woman moves in next to him, and he kind of has a thing for her, but he's, again, too afraid to approach her. She promises to write a role in a play for him. But one thing leads to another, and ultimately he ends up getting this, I guess, experimental procedure done where his tumors are removed. And then one thing, I don't really know how else.
And then he turns into Sebastian
and he becomes Sebastian
Stan.
Stan, but then he ends up having this interaction with a man that has a very similar face condition to him, and he becomes obsessed with this guy, and it kind of spirals out of control from there. I don't want to give too much away. That's already a lot of the movie, to be honest. But yeah, that's the basic premise, at least.
All right, cool. Well, we covered already who's in this movie, you guys, but it's still a really interesting story, I will say, because it takes on this play with people with facial deformities or indifferences, and really kind of gives it a platform of like an internal struggle. And it's kind of like a meta reaction to, right, because they're kind of doing a very similar thing in the actual movie in regards to casting a play. So it's a very interesting film. But I think it also kind of is a relatable. So this is A24, but it's a relatable story in the sense that we all feel imperfect, or we all
Not me.
wish we could change something about us. Yeah, except for Carson. Carson kind of just came as a complete package, just minus the height.
Yeah, that's why I wear boosters now.
Anyway, so I think it was relatable for me, at least, in terms of that, of wishing, we could be somebody else or look like somebody else. But at the end of the day, the story and the message kind of just turns back into you're okay with how you are. Sure, we can work on ourselves in terms of characteristics and personality a little bit, but overall look is just it's just what you got. It's what you came with.
It's about how you
God made
act, right? It's about your
persona.
And
it's more so about being a good person, because I think what was the most interesting thing for me here is Adam Pearson and Sebastian Stan are relatively the same person.
Yeah, but Adam Pearson
but-
is way more confident and charming.
Yeah.
He's just
So
himself.
Sebastian Stan, when he had the deformities, he really, like Carson said, he was just like, he hated his life. He wanted to be anybody with, a quote unquote normal looking face. But then you get Adam Pearson that comes into the picture, and he's just like this very personable guy, likable guy, while having the same, tumors on his face. So
Yeah.
I think that what you said was pretty accurate. It comes down to how you carry yourself, not really worrying about what other people think of you. Anyway, so those are kind of my likes on this movie.
Okay. I see that. I agree. I think the themes are really interesting, and even moving past like the introspective side of things, it also seems to be taking a look at what it means to be a storyteller or being a creative person, and how we can kind of like, I guess, cannibalize the lives of those around us, or like some of us can fall into that tendency. So like the girl who's like his neighbor, she's writing this play about him after she thinks he killed himself, but she's not really owning that, this story's inspired by him. Like, she doesn't really own up to that. She's saying like, oh, this is a lot about me, actually. The making of this is all about me as a person and my own life experience. So it's kind of interesting there. And then there's definitely some other stuff going on too, like when she's hooking up with Sebastian Stan's character and makes him wear the mask of the deformed, like his old face and stuff like that. Like, there's some like layers that it's like saying a lot, but you'd have to like maybe really sit down and go through everything to piece it all together. So I like that. I like a layered, kind of nuanced film. I also think the filmmaking, as far as like the visuals go, is super. This is a gorgeous film. There's some crazy, like, intense scenes. It's also really funny. It's like a darkly comedic, I guess. Like, there was moments I laughed out loud that I was like, I don't know if I should be laughing at this. But I think you were. So that's kind of interesting too. And I just, you might disagree with me on this, but I love the ending because it's so obtuse. You're like, what does that mean? I actually rewound. I was like, who is that person that we just saw? Like, what is happening? Yeah. And I don't get it, but I love that because it makes me want to think about it more. This might be probably out of the grouping of the newer movies we watched. This is pretty high on my list. Maybe this and Nosferatu are tied, to be honest, but I have to think about it some more. I loved this movie. I thought the acting was really great too. Not just from Sebastian Stan, but Adam Pearson. Every time he's in a scene, he kind of steals the show, which
he does.
Could be the point, really, but he does such a good job. And then the special effects, for the makeup and stuff were obviously really good. Well,
not for Adam Pearson. He looks like
Jeez, dude. Do you have any dislikes?
So dislikes, yes.
Yeah,
I watched this movie. I watched this movie twice, and really only the first time through. I made it like maybe an hour into it, and then I fell asleep.
Yeah.
So I went back, rewatched it again, and I will say the first hour of the movie is painstakingly depressing and slow, which I get is kind of the world they're establishing, but it just kind of dragged on for me a lot. I think the whole thing could have been done in 30 minutes, and we could have gotten actually even more of the Sebastian Stan regret and battle within throughout the movie. Because once you get past that initial part of him, like, now getting the surgery done, and then, and then now trying to figure out how to establish his new life, the movie really picks up. Like, it's a huge change in pace.
There's even like a time jump, I think, too, or several time jumps towards.
Yeah, there's like a year. Yeah. So I think besides the beginning, it's a really great film, and you really need it, but I don't think it needed to be that long, and that's kind of my biggest complaint. Other than that, I mean, I think it's a solid film. Yeah,
I mean, I do kind of agree that. I mean, I think the pacing's fine. It's just the story structure. That first act is so long, and then I feel like our third act actually gets cut short a little bit because of that.
I will agree.
But again, I kind of like it as a stylistic choice. I just have to be in the mood for this kind of thing, and I did watch this back to back with our previous film, so maybe that's what kind of set me up for it. But it's definitely a different from a screenwriting perspective, it's really interesting in how they do that. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. So
I do like the ending and how they did it, just because it feels so abbreviated, and you're like, wait, what? Like, what are the more? Like, it makes you want more.
Yeah.
To see, like, right, because the second act we see a lot of battle within. First act is the world. Second act is battle within. Third act is how it affected the entire world. And I wanted more in the third, but in the first,
like when he starts acting like he's Oswald, right? When when Sebastian Stan's character loses his mind officially, I kind of feel like we could have seen more of him doing that, because it was kind of like a montage almost, and I feel like we did deserve a little bit more of that.
Or even kind of the relationship building between Adam Pearson and Renette, because that just, to me, that's the hardest part of the entire film, is because, right, Sebastian Stan changes his whole face, and now he's got this glimmer of hope. He's getting this pretty girl. He's going to get this, role in a gig, and then all of a sudden it's kind of stolen from him by a more confident version of him, essentially. And I wish we could have seen that breakdown a lot more in terms of the relationship, because that relationship was the reason that girl at least was one of the main reasons why he wanted this, like, change.
Well,
I get it. Funny. Like, he has an entire life, but that was kind of the movie's version of it.
No, I get that. And then, it's kind of funny too, because at the end too, the three of them are all, like, in that last act,
awkward friends.
There's like an alliance of sorts, and I'm like, does that make sense? Like, I feel like I'm missing something there. I like that they do that. I just don't know if it fully makes, I guess, logical sense, so to speak.
Sure.
But I love the final line of this movie when Oswald's basically saying, like, you haven't changed a bit, and even though like they don't know how his face was before or anything, so just the irony of this movie is really good.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So what would you rate this out of 5?
Bro, 4.5.
Wow, interesting.
I loved this
That's
movie.
Pretty high.
Yeah.
That's really high. I'm going to give it a 4. Solid 4.
Okay,
great
not too far
storytelling. Great. Yeah, no.
Also, Michael Shannon's in this. I don't know if we mentioned that.
Super random.
Super random.
Yeah, he is very random. It's nominated for an Oscar, so keep this one on your radar. And hopefully we'll see it in the next coming months.
What was
Maybe
it nominated
we'll win an Oscar. I think it's
special effects
for Sebastian. Either that or Sebastian Stan.
I feel like I'm surprised it didn't get a Best Picture nominee.
Oh no, it's actually Best Achievement in Makeup and Hairstyling.
And that's it.
So, yep.
That's crazy, because at the Golden Globes, Stan won for Best Performance by a Male Actor at the Golden Globes.
Oh, okay.
Which I guess that goes to show those are two very different award shows. But
yep. Anyway, okay, guys. Well, that is going to do it for January of movies that we missed in 2024. So now we are kicking it off kind of at the true heart of what Carson and I do and love.
Jesus.
We're starting off with, that too. With Found Footage February, guys. We brought it back. We added 4 movies to Found Footage February. So we're really excited. Yeah, we're really excited.
What is Found Footage?
Next week. So Found Footage is actually, it's a cross between handheld filming and in terms of story, footage that is found after somebody who has passed, typically, or gone missing. So that is what we are going to be starting off. We got a lot of good movies in February, so we are going to say goodbye here, and we will see you next week for Found Footage February. Peace.
Peace, Slaters. That's a clean slate.